Good morning, all of you. In today's session, we are going to continue with our previous lecture, that is CSR NET JRF Chemical Science December 2019. Part C, we are discussing since last three series. Now we entered into series 4. Okay, so we already completed part B, entire part B explanation part was completed. In part C, we are going with 10 questions in each series. So 3 series already completed, 4th series we entered. Today we are going to discuss about this series 4, where 31 to 40 questions of this December 2019 part C of chemical science will be discussed in detail. So let us go to our actual concept. So question number 31, in mass bar spectrum of sample containing iron recorded in the presence of static magnetic field, the number of possible allowed transitions are. Here, mass bar spectrum, it is the kind of spectroscopic analysis method. Whenever iron subjected to this mass bar analysis, the number of possible transitions are calculated by using formula 2Ni plus 1. Okay, 2Ni plus 1 formula will be allowed, where here iron having two angular quantum number values, I is given by 3 by 2 as well as I is given by 1 by 2 also, right? So in case of this 2Ni plus 1 formula applied, so let us apply for 2Ni plus 1 formula for 3 by 2, then 2 into 1, sorry, 2 into 1 into 3 by 2 is applied, then it will become 3 by 2 plus 1. 2Ni plus formula when applied to this 3 by 2 spin quantum number I, right? So what happens? 2 get cancelled, it becomes 4. So 4 possible transitions are possible in case of 3 by 2. Let us apply to second one, that is 1 by 2. I is equal to 1 by 2. In that case, it will be 2 into 1 iron atom will be there into, here we have to substitute I value should be half. When half is substituted, 2 get cancelled and one more plus 1 is there. 2 get cancelled, so that we will get 1 plus 1. It will become 2. Right. So total how many number of possible transitions are there? 4 plus 2. Total possible transitions are 6. For question number 31, option 3 is satisfying this statement. Let us go with explanation of this mass bar spectrum once again. When mass bar spectrum of iron recorded in the presence of static magnetic field, how many possible transitions are possible, right? In order to explain this, we have to use the formula 2Ni plus 1, right? So I values for iron are given as 3 by 2 and 1 by 2, right? So when 3 by 2 formula is given, when we apply in this, what happens? It will become 4 possible transitions. With respect to this 1 by 2 I value, we will get more 2 allowed transitions. Total number of possible transitions are 6 given for this iron. So here, whole 6 possible allowed transitions are present for given iron molecule. So for question number 31, option number 3 is the right answer. Now let us move on to question number 32. It is a kind of match the following, where 3 different metals are given and their biometabolic action we have to predict. So these metals found in human organisms. So whenever these metals are present, what kind of enzyme these metals are present and what will be the end product in biometabolic activities, right? So these enzymes constituted by what kind of metal and what is the end product by these enzymatic action, right? So for this purpose, we have to know the structure of all these enzymes. Then only it is possible to predict what metal is constituted in that and what will be the product generated after its reaction. Let us go with carbonic anhydrase. When we are taking carbonic anhydrase structure will be represented here. Here, zinc is the central metal. It is surrounded by 3 molecules of imidazole. 1,3 nitrogen containing 5-membered ring is called imidazole. Here you can find 3 imidazole moieties and 1 PR minus will be there, and further they can be bounded to histidine molecules, right? So it will be extended. For our simplification, we are representing only the structure, and here side chain histidine moieties are present. In carbonic anhydrase, the central metal will be zinc, dipositive zinc will be there, and always this carbonic anhydrase is essential for the synthesis of carbonic acid, right? Let us see, this is a carbonic anhydrase, zinc is the central metal, and carbonic acid is the end product in this reaction. Now, let us move on to this xanthine oxidase. What is the chemical structure of xanthine oxidase? Here we can find the chemical structure of xanthine oxidase, where molybdenum is there. That molybdenum surrounded by OH, double bond is double bond O, and here chelate ring will be there. This is called chelation, because single ligand is able to form 2 bonds with the central metal is called a chelating ligand, and always chelation given by more than one functional group which able to give lone pair of electrons, right? So this is a kind of xanthine oxidase. The purpose of xanthine oxidase will be accelerates metabolic pathway of uric acid synthesis. Okay, so uric acid synthesis, it is the essential enzyme which is required. So in that process, molybdenum metal will be there. Xanthine oxidase will be utilized as an enzyme in order to produce uric acid as the end product. Now let us move on to coenzyme F430. Coenzyme F430 structure is represented here. Central metal will be nickel surrounded by 4 porphyrin rings. These are called porphyrin rings, and these porphyrin rings in their in their terminal centers they are having acetic acid moieties, right? So this is about the structure of coenzyme F430. It is constituted by the nickel metal, and it is very essential for the synthesis of methane by the process called methanogenesis, right? Methanogenesis is the process which used to synthesize methane as the end product. Hence, we can say nickel mapped with coenzyme F430 and the end product will be methane. Let us see which is the right statement for this question. Nickel with coenzyme F430, option number 3 should be mapped, and this will be added to methane. Why? Right? So A3Y, this is the right statement for nickel, and in case of zinc, carbonic anhydrase should be taken. So for option number B, 1 is the correct match. So enzyme will be carbonic anhydrase, and the end product will be carbonic acid. End product will be carbonic acid. Hence BIZ is also right match. Next is about MO, molybdenum. Whenever molybdenum was taken, xanthine oxidase is the enzyme, and the final product will be uric acid. That means C2X, C2X. So for all these, the correct mapping will be given with option number 1. For question number 32, correct option will be option number 1. So this is about nickel, zinc, molybdenum biological pathway in human organisms, and what will be the end product, what kind of enzyme it will be, right? Let us move on to question number 33. Again, it is the kind of match the following only. In case of this one, we are taking various analytical titration process. So we already know conductometry, pH metry, potentiometry, amperometry, polarography. All these are the methods where concentration of unknown compound can be predicted by using analytical tools, right? Whenever we are conducting conductometric titration, what we are measuring? Conductance will be measured. Conductance is plotted against volume of alkali added from the burette, right? While the addition of sodium hydroxide, how extent the conductance will be varied. So those plots are able to determine concentration of unknown solution. That's the reason why conductance is the part of conductometry is the part of conductance, but here conductance is not given. Instead, resistance is given. Resistance is also a term of conductance where conductance is a reciprocal of resistance. Conductance is a reciprocal of resistance. Conductance means ability to flow the current from one place to another. Resistance is the power to retard that movement of current. Insulation property is called resistance. Okay, so that's why conductometry is related with this resistance. A is mapped with 2. Amperometry. Whenever amperometric titrations were performed, here the graphs are plotted between volume of alkali versus diffusion current. Diffusion current was taken in the y-axis. We are going to measure diffusion current. What is the change in the diffusion current? Based on that, we are going to find out the concentration of unknown solution. That's the reason why for option B, correct answer will be 4. Right? In case of pH metric titrations, whenever pH metric titrations are performed, it is the part of galvanic cell. It is the part of EMF determination. Okay, whenever electromotive force is determined, subsequently it is converted into pH. There is a derivation of EMF into pH. There is a direct relation, right? So that's the reason why pH metric titration directly linked with this voltage. Okay, so by applying the voltage, it is possible to determine pH by using ion selective electrode called a glass electrode. Otherwise, we may take quinohydrin electrode. Otherwise, we may take hydrogen gas electrode. Any one can be preferred in order to predict pH of the unknown solution, where we can measure voltage. So pH is a pH will be mapped with this voltage. And the fourth option will be differential pulse polarography. In case of this polarography, what we are applying? We are applying light. So by applying light, what happens? Differential pulse polarography technique will be employed, and where change in the current can be measured here. Change in the current can be measured. That's why D can be mapped with this 3, option number 3. Now let us see which is the right answer among all these 4 options. Conductometry should be mapped with resistance, A with 2. A with 2 is given only in the option number 1. That's why obviously option number 1 is the right answer. Let us go with any other statements also. Amperometry should be mapped with diffusion current. Means B with 4. B with 4 is also given. pH metry related with voltage. That means C with the I. C with the I. Then C with I is also given. Differential pulse polarography, which is mapped with difference in the current. D with the 3. D with the 3. So all options are satisfied by this option number 1. That's why correct answer will be option number 1 for this question. Right? Let us move on to next one. It is a part of organic chemistry where we have various catalysts provided, and it is treated with the compound of aromatic, right? So the aromatic compound now treated with pH CH double bond over CH double bond CH2 called styrene, and palladium Cl2 PPH3 taken twice will be given. Triethyl amine solvent, triethyl amine base will be used. DMF is the solvent. Grubbs catalyst is employed in the second step in benzene solvent. Whenever all these are added to the starting material, what will be the product we have to predict? In order to find out the product, we have to check the mechanism of the reaction. Let us see what will be the mechanism for this reaction. In this, we are taking ester. That ester directly linked to benzene, and this ester further extended with one double bond. Now it is treated with palladium Cl2 PPH3 taken twice. It involved in insertion type of mechanism. Palladium will be inserted in between phenyl and iodo so that insertion reaction is carried. Now it is added with styrene. Styrene molecule will be added in such a way palladium is electropositive and electron rich center will be there here, polyphenic double bond, where a coordinate covalent bond will be generated, and this is purely regioselective type of reaction. Now it will be inserted in between carbon and palladium so that inserted product will be generated. After getting this one, what we will do? We will do reaction with Grubbs catalyst. Grubbs catalyst is composed by ruthenium complex and ruthenium double bond CH. PH is a second generation Grubbs catalyst. Whenever this Grubbs catalyst is added, it involved in ring cyclization type of reaction. 2,2 addition is possible. Here 2 atoms. Here 2 atoms will be there. 2 plus 2 cycloaddition will be possible, and we will get 4-membered ring structure. And subsequent ring opening and addition to this carbon-carbon double bond, ring expansion type of reaction will be possible. In this ring expansion reaction, what we will do? Upon heating, this Grubbs catalyst will be regenerated, and here it is converted into the product having expanded ring structure, right? So here phenyl group is eliminated along with Grubbs catalyst, and here we will get benzene ring, which is attached with how many atoms? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 atoms. Okay, 7 atoms containing ring. This is called a cyclic lactone ring. C double bond O group when present in the cyclic system, that is known as lactone system. It is a kind of lactone with a 7-membered ring structure will be generated. Let us see which is the correct option for this one. Option number 1 is the right answer for this problem, whatever given to us. What we will do? First palladium will be inserted, followed by styrene will be added. And here insertion reaction, extension of carbon chain will be possible. And further treating with Grubbs catalyst, here the cyclization reaction followed by reaction with this ardo position and ring expansion, and retention of Grubbs catalyst is possible, and subsequently it is converted into cyclic lactone system. That is 1. So for this question, option number 1 is the right answer, right? Now let us move on to next question. It is purely solid state chemistry, where X-rays of 173 picometers wavelength are reflected by 1, 1, 1 plane. Cubic primitive crystal at theta is equal to 30. The unit cell length is closest to 2. Unit cell length is closest to 2. Right? So we have to predict the unit cell length by using the data which is provided here. So whenever X-ray analysis is carried, we have to go with the equation called Bragg's law, where n lambda is equal to 2d sine theta. Here theta value is provided, that is 30 degrees angle. And when we are going with DHKL is given by A by root H square plus K square plus I square, right? So here this is D value. So this D value is provided here. What is D value? DHKL coordinates are given by A by under root H square plus K square plus I square. Let us substitute this D value in this. N lambda is equal to 2d sine theta. What will happen? N lambda is equal to 2A by under root H square plus K square plus I square sine theta, right? So 2 in this D place, we are substituting its value, right? So after getting this, what we will do? A is equal to n lambda. A is equal to, here we are taking A towards left hand side. A is equal to n lambda root H square plus K square by L square by 2 sine theta, right? So if n is equal to 1, so n is equal to 1, A is equal to 1 into 173. Why 173? Lambda value is provided as, wavelength is provided as 173 picometers. Okay, so we are not required to change its units because they're asking unit cell length in picometers again. That's the reason why we can go with this picometer units only, right? So 1 into 173 lambda, that is lambda value root 1 square plus 1 square plus 1 square. Okay, so 3 coordinates which are given by 1, 1, 1. That's why H, L, K values becomes 1, 1, 1 only. Under root 1 square plus 1 square plus 1 square by 2 sine 30. Theta value is given by 30 degrees. Okay, then what it will be? 173 root. So 1 square plus 1 square plus 1 square, it becomes 3. Root 3 by 2 sine 30 degrees is given by half. Sine 30 degrees value will be half, right? So after calculating all these, the value will be, what happens? This numerator 2 and denominator 2 both get cancelled, so that it is converted into 173 root 3 it will be. Okay, so root 3 value will be 1.73. Here we have both exactly same kind of integer values. 173 into 1.73 will be there. So in order to simplify the equation, in order to simplify the calculation, what we will do? 173 is also converted into 1.73, nothing by multiplying with 100, right? So 1.73 is nothing but root 3. So root 3 into 100, that is nothing but root 3 into root 3 is nothing but 3. 3 into 100, nothing but 300 picometers. The unit cell length is calculated as 300 picometers. It is possible by applying the formula in lambda is equal to 2d sine theta. In lambda is equal to 2d sine theta is the formula where n value is given as 1, lambda is given as 173, d is given as a by root h square plus k square plus l square, right? So when we apply all these in this, the final answer will be 300 picometers. The correct option will be, correct answer will be 2, right? 2 is the correct answer. That is 300 picometers. Now let us move on to next question, 36. Molar residual entropy of solid OCS would be closest to. Molar residual entropy of solid OCS would be closest to. So in case of this one, residual entropy is given by entropy calculated minus entropy observed, right? The formula for residual entropy calculation will be entropy calculated minus entropy observed. M will be the number of possible orientations of the molecule. Okay, so here the molecule which is given is OCS. There is a possibility of carbon oxygen double bond and even carbon sulfur double bond. It is a linear molecule with 180 degrees bond angle, right? So here we can change the linkage by shifting S double bond C double bond O. This is the first possible orientation. This is the second possible orientation for OCS formula, and M is equal to 2 because two possible orientations are given for this OCS molecule, right? So it is a kind of carbon dioxide molecule only. What we are doing, one of the oxygen replaced with sulfur atom, right? Now let us calculate delta S residual is given by R ln M, right? So delta S residual is equal to R ln M. M is nothing but two possible orientations. That's the reason why it will become R is a gaseous constant whose value is fixed. 8.314 into ln 2 it will be, right? 8.314 into ln 2 value is fixed, that is 0.694. When we multiply these two, the correct answer will be 5.86. So 5.86, that is option number 3. Again, let us see. Residual entropy is given by calculated minus observed. Okay, we have another representation for residual entropy calculation, that is delta S residual is equal to R ln M. M is nothing but number of possible orientations. This molecular formula is existing in two possible orientations. That's why R ln 2 it will be. R value will be 8.314. M value will be, and it will be finally calculated as 5.86. This is about question number 36. Now let us move on to question number 37, where we are taking terpene. It is a kind of natural product. This terpene was taken and terpene molecule is treated with tosyl hydrazine. Tosyl hydrazine is the reagent which used to form condensed product. Here NH2 is condensed in between, so that here double bond NH tosyl group will be generated, and further it's subjected to mild bromination by using sodium borohydrocyanide, right? So this will be the mild reducing agent. Now let us see what will be the product. Always hydrazine is specific for reacting with carbonylic agents, and there is a formation of hydrazone derivative is possible, right? So hydrazone derivative will be generated here. So let us see how this terpene can be treated with tosyl hydrazine and subsequent reduction, and what will be the product here. Now let us move on to mechanism of this reaction. We are taking terpene treated with para-tosyl hydrazine. When para-tosyl hydrazine was taken here, it will be condensed at this carbonylic center. Hydrazone derivative will be generated. Hydrazone derivative can be treated with reducing agent, that is sodium borohydrocyanide, so that here double bond will be reduced, and here the formation of NH-NH-TS, right? Now it involved in removal of tosyl functional group. Tosyl is the bulky, larger, better leaving group, so that it will be eliminated, and here double bond will be generated. New double bond will be formed in between, so that here imine type of compound is formed, right? This imine type of compound further involved in migration of this double bond towards this side, and nitrogen molecule will be discarded from this, so that the final product will be double bond. Here CH3 will be there, OAC, here CH2, CH double bond, CH3, CH3. So option number 3 is the right answer for this problem, right? We are taking terpene. So very simple, only reaction is possible when this terpene is treated with tosyl hydrazine. Condensation reaction is possible. Condensed product will be hydrazone. This hydrazone further reduced with the sodium borohydrocyanide. What happens? That double bond will be reduced, and subsequent removal of those groups, and this double bond is shifted and nitrogen will be eliminated. We will get the product of this compound 3. Option 3 is the right answer for this question. Now let us move on to next problem. In this problem, the true statement regarding Hammett reaction constant for following transformation. Okay, Hammett constant, whose Hammett constant value is more, that we have to predict. Let us assume these X groups are same. Okay, so X groups will not have any impact, because whatever X group is there in compound number 1, in compound number 2 also both are same. That's why these are not affecting rate of the reaction. Only the possibility is, only the factor which influencing is here the COOET is directly linked with benzene. In second case, COOET is extended with CH2 group. Let us discuss with first option, first sequence, where we are taking this para substituted ester compound, alkaline conditions. There is a formation of carboxylate, and along with this, when one ethanol molecule is formed as a byproduct, right? In the second case also same kind of base catalyzed ester hydrolysis carried, and carboxylate will be generated. Only the requirement is we have to find out Hammett reaction constant. Rho value should be calculated. In order to get that rho value, what is the factor? In the first case, this ester is directly linked where rho value will be greater positive. Okay, that means Hammett reaction constant will be greater positive, because ester is directly linked with the phenyl, so that electronic factors are directly operated here. Whenever this ester is in not directly conjugation with benzene, so that electronic factors will be minimized, subsequently Hammett reaction constant will be lowered. So the correct option will be rho for A is larger positive value than B. So for first equation, Hammett reaction constant will be higher. For second equation, Hammett reaction constant will be lower, right? So this is about question. And next question is, 1 mole of perfect monoatomic gas is put through the cycle shown in the figure. The total work done during the cycle will be, okay, we are taking the cyclic process, and in the cyclic process, 1 liter bar is equal to 100 joules. Okay, and our gas constant value is given as 8.3, which is converted into 0.083 liter bar Kelvin inverse. Ln2 value is given by 0.7. So it is randomized into 0.7. Okay. By applying all these values, we have to predict what is the total work done in this system. Total work done in the system should be calculated. It is a part of physical chemistry question. We have to go with the solution of all these. In order to get the solution, we have to find out work done A to B, work done B to C, work done C to D, work done D to A. So by summing all these values, it is possible to get total work done during the cyclic system, right? In order to explain this, let us move on to solution for this one. Work done AB is given by minus PdV, right? So work is equal to minus PdV is the familiar equation we already know, right? So pressure is given by 2, and this volume difference is given by 23.24 minus 46.48. In between A and B, so 23.24, 46.48, this is the volume coordinate, which is the x-axis. Pressure is y coordinate, it will be, right? So here pressure is taken, AB pressure is given as 2. AB pressure, it is originated at a 2 bar pressure. Then volume for A to B change will be 46.48 and 23.24. So that will be applied in this. W is equal to P minus P delta V, right? And second is about WBC. Okay, so WBC, work done in between B and C. So in between B and C is given by P1 is equal to 2, and volume is given by 46.48. For B and C separately taken because both are not on the single plane. For B, pressure is 2. For C, pressure is 1. For B, volume is 46.48. For volume of C will be 92.96. 92.96. Okay. When we apply the formula, P1 V1 is equal to P2 V2. Isothermal means temperature kept constant. Then WBC isothermal is equal to minus nRT ln V2 by V1. Same formula will not be employed because both the atoms not present on the same plane. So the formula will be shifted. To isothermal. WBC is equal to minus nRT ln V2 by V1. PV is equal to nRT. T is equal to PV by NR. In order to find out the temperature is not provided within the problem. That's the reason why we have to calculate by using gaseous law. PV is equal to nRT is the ideal gas equation. By employing this equation, it is possible to predict the temperature. It is equal to pressure of 1 bar, volume 92.96. Number of moles will be 1. R is the gas constant value, which is given as 0.083. So this will become 1120. Temperature is calculated as 1120 with this ideal gas equation. Now, let us substitute this temperature in this WBC isothermal, right? So minus N is nothing but 1 only, and R value is 0.083. T is calculated as 1120. ln volume V2 is 92 by V1 will be 46. So 92 by 46 will be exactly 2. That becomes ln2, and equation is completely simplified. Minus 1 into 0.083 into 1120 ln2. So this is the WBC. WBC is also calculated. Now Ln2 value is also provided to us within the problem. That is, Ln2 is given as 0.7. If we substitute that Ln2 value, we will get exact WBC answer also. Now let us move on to WCD, where minus P delta V is given. Minus P delta V is given, minus 1.0. Pressure is given as on CD. CD both are present at 1 only. So C, the value is 92.96. D, it is 23.24. So 92.96, 23.24. So it is taken as 0. After calculating, we will get WCD is taken as 0. WDA. WDA. D to A value is also after calculating. So here also we can apply WDA is equal to minus PDV, and it is also obtained as 0, right? So if we substitute all these values, WAB plus WBC plus WCD plus WDA, the entire calculation will be given as 41.8. Entire calculation is given as 41.8. Here it is present in L bar by K mole. Okay, so this should be converted into joules. In order to convert in this term into joules, it should be multiplied with 100, so that it will be converted into minus 4180 joules, right? So this will be the formula for the calculation of total work done in this cyclic system. In order to get this total work done, we have to predict WAB, WBC, WCD, WAD. Okay, so it is very clear that WAB value is calculated by using formula. BC is also calculated. CD, AD are taken as 0. So not taken as 0. After calculating, we got answer as 0. After adding all these values, the value obtained in L bar Kelvin inverse mole inverse, right? L bar Kelvin inverse mole inverse value is obtained. That should be converted into joule by multiplying with 100. After multiplying, we will get the answer minus 4183. The correct option will be second one. So for this problem, second one is the right answer. Now, let us move on to next question, 40. Huckel molecular orbital of benzene that is degenerated with molecular orbital 1 by 2 chi2 plus chi3 minus chi5 minus chi6 is given as. Huckel molecular orbital of benzene we have to calculate. Okay, that is degenerated with. So just like this one. First we have to calculate the value of this, and among all the 4 options which is matching with this one, we have to calculate. For that purpose, we are having the wave which is having positive sign at the upper region, and this lower curve is denoted with negative sign. The area in between bisecting at the plane is known as a nodal plane, right? So in case of this formula, so this is the sign notation value. When we apply the benzene here, the numbering will be assigned like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 will be there, where we have chi2 values given as positive, chi3 values also positive, chi5 value is negative, chi6 value also negative, where chi1, chi4 values are not mentioned in this. When chi1, chi2 values are not mentioned, these are nodal planes. So node will be there. It is not possible to predict that one, right? So whenever positive is there, here bonding interaction, negative here also bonding interaction. In case of this one, possible nodal planes are at 1 and 4th position. So 2 nodal planes are existing in this molecule. So for the given statement, for the given sample example, we have 2 nodal planes. Now these 2 nodal planes should be matched with any one of the 4 options given in here. Let us go with one by one. In accordance with molecular orbital theory, 1 by under root 12, 2 chi1 plus chi2 minus chi3 minus 2 chi4 minus chi5 plus chi6. When we are taking these notations, we have to apply it to benzene molecule. Chi1 is a positive term. Chi2 is also positive. Chi3 is given with negative. So it is indicated with negative. Chi4 is also negative term. Chi5 is a negative. Chi6 is denoted with positive sign. Here, upper 3 carbons are having positive, where lower 3 carbons are denoted with negative sign. In between 2 positive carbons, no nodal plane because bonding interactions will be there. In between 1, 6 also bonding interactions will be there. In between 2 and 3, you can find a nodal plane. Even 5, 6 also nodal plane will be there. So the possible nodal planes for this compound 1 will be 2. It is exactly matching with the given problem. So it is matching with the given problem. That's the reason why correct answer will be option number 1 only. Let us move on to second, third, fourth also. Let us see whether they are matching or not. So most probably they are not mapped, but let us predict how many nodes will be there for these molecules. Right. For option 2, 1 by 2, chi2 minus chi3 plus chi3 plus, sorry, it will be chi4 plus chi5 minus chi6. When we are taking this problem for first carbon is not mentioned, hence we can say there is a nodal plane. Chi2 is a positive term. That's why chi2 is denoted with positive. Chi3 will be negative. Here chi3 is denoted with negative. Chi4 is a positive. Here second. Within the second problem, chi4 is not given. Chi4 term is not there. Need not to write chi4 because it is not given within the problem. So at chi4, no sign is denoted because chi4 is not given in the problem. Chi5 is denoted with positive. Chi6 is denoted with negative. Here 2 nodal planes are there. Here also 2 nodal. Whole 4 nodal planes are given for the compound number 2. So it is not matching. And when we are taking third option, 2 chi1 minus chi2 minus chi3 plus chi4 minus chi5 minus chi6 will be there. Means how many nodal planes? 1, 2, 3, 4 nodal planes. So 4 nodal planes also not exactly matching with the given problem. So option number 3 may not be correct. And let us move on to option number 4. Plus minus, minus minus, plus minus will be there. So in this way, all the carbons are having alternate positive negative. Hence, you can obtain 6 nodal planes within the molecule. When 6 nodal planes are there, it is not exactly matching. Only the correct option will be option number 1. We are exactly having same number of nodal planes with the given problem. For question number 40, option number 1 is the right answer. By this, we completed series 4 where 10 questions got covered from December 2019 CSIR NET part C. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.